Are you looking for love? Are you looking for me? Are you looking for something to set yourself free? So if you're looking for love, turn on the phone or TV, because here I am. Are you ready for love? On lockdown.
Hey all you cool gods and goddesses, it's that time of the week. Open your mind and fill your heart with love. Here's the angel that does it all for you, our mother's firstborn son, Cupid!
Hi, and welcome to Love on Lockdown, the show that says you're going to need your heart, not your brain, to figure out what the hell is going on around here. It's only been a few weeks and we miss dearly our friend, our teacher, our motivator, our biggest supporter, our biggest believer in this show and everything, Puppet the Psycho Dwarf, Steve Lee Richardson, man, a guy with just too big a heart for this world. So we're going to keep on going, man, and we miss you. Moving on, and time to get in your head, because that's what they're trying to do with the headlines. First up, to add to California's woes, because who could forget the fires, because we're all the way over here in Illinois, and we're seeing the smoke just like it's reaching all the way to the East Coast, and now a pretty startling earthquake can be added to the list. So now, not only are they on fire, the ground is shaking beneath them, and thoughts and prayers go out to the people of California. That's what happens whenever these big conjunctions show up. Look at this picture. You see how everything's on this side of the sun? That's called unbalanced. This is not hocus pocus, people. This is no different, I live in Illinois, than saying in Illinois in January it gets cold. In July in Illinois it gets warm. You just look at history and you find out whenever the solar system looks like this,
hold on to your butts.
But enough about that, let's move on. Nancy Pelosi, just like all the other people in government, and
Hello?
Hello, anybody home? Gress, Nancy Pelosi proves once again that she's just not the right person for the job, nor should she be allowed to be. And since we now have exposed her as being the sham and liar that she is, let's talk about this whole economy. This whole economy is also a sham and a fraud from the get-go. Here's some numbers. We're going to take a look at these numbers. Where am I going to put them? How about we put them right there? Okay. Well, this is going to blow your mind, man. You're going to love this if you don't know this, and I'm sure no one's really explained it to you this way. Take a look at this number, okay? When Trump came into office in January of 2017, the stock market was at 19,000 points, okay? And then when the stock market reached its peak this year, it was at 29,000 points. It took 3 years to go from 19,000 in January 2017 to 29,000 in 2020. Then, in March of 2020 of this year, the stock market crashed all the way back down to 19,000 points. Okay, so everything that Trump had did and all these awesome policies and all this economic improvement and all this nonsense, all of it wiped away just like that. 3 years gone. Now this is where it gets really funny and really fascinating. Now, where did the stock market hit a little bit earlier this month? All the way back to 29,000. Think about that. It took us 3 years to go from 19,000 to 29,000, about 3 days to go from 29,000 back to 19,000, and then about 6 months to go from 19,000 back up to the 29,000 that originally took 3 years to do. And this all happened while 50 million Americans are out of work, 2/3 of hotels are saying, I don't think we're going to make it, and 60% of businesses gone forever, and on top of it, a national debt that just won't quit. So how is that possible? I'll tell you how it's possible. It's possible through propaganda, bank manipulation, and all sorts of fraud, lies, corruption, and shams. Oh, and one more thing, because I'm not going to forget it. I'm going to mention it every episode. The CDC has come out and said themselves that only 6%, people, 6% is how much COVID-19 has killed. Out of these now 200,000 deaths, only 6% of those 200,000 deaths are caused from COVID-19. So that means all these other deaths are like, you have COVID-19 and you were shot in the face. You had COVID-19, you fell off a cliff. You had COVID-19 whenever you were run over by a freight train. Because they say if you have COVID-19 when you die, then you will be counted as a COVID-19 death. You can be walking down the street diagnosed with COVID-19, a jet engine can fall and crush you and kill you. They would count that as a COVID-19 death. COVID-19 itself has only killed 6%. Okay, I feel like that's a pretty efficient wrap up for the past few weeks. Have you missed me? All right, now let's move on to the
Dummy of the Day.
This week's Dummy of the Day comes to us from the White House. It's top economic advisor Larry Kudlow. And if you're not familiar with this guy's track record, I can't wait to bring to you some of his greatest hits. And let's start with a good one. Here he is in 2007 telling everyone they've got nothing to worry about, everyone's got it wrong, and the U.S. is nowhere near headed into a recession. And then of course in 2008, the next year, the U.S. entered a recession. And my personal favorite is when he went out publicly a few years ago and shamed and lectured a bunch of single parents, even though he said himself that he had no experience in such matters, and the only thing he had is a bunch of documentation that ignoramuses like him could read, and then he can go out and lecture people and shit like that, even though, as he said, his own words, I don't know anything about this shit. And then here's the real coup de grace. Back in February of this year, he said the coronavirus will be contained or is contained and no one has anything to worry about. And then next month, the lockdowns happen. So that's who's advising the president. You're in good hands. And you want to hear the kicker, the real icing on the cake? The dude loves blow. Yeah, he's a big partier, man. Apparently back in the 90s he got down, and I guess he's one of the reasons why Miami blew up with cocaine so much. That part I'm kind of making up myself. And don't expect these guys to keep their promises. You knew that they were snakes when you picked them up. Yes? Well, since no one's stopping you, man, here's to you, Larry Kudlow.
I said, goddamn.
Cocaine's a hell of a drug.
Hope you like that, Larry. Congratulations, Dum Dum. You're Dummy of the Day. Out goes the trash and in comes the laundry. Time to do some dirty laundry. Okay, meet Pope Benedict XVI. But did you know that's not his real name? His name is Joseph Ratzinger. He's a German, just like the royal family, who's been nicknamed God's Rottweiler. And just like the royal family, Pope Benedict spent time with the Nazis too. I mean, the similarities just keep on going, don't they? And another fun fact about God's Rottweiler is that he took hundreds of thousands of dollars from ousted Cardinal Theodore McCarrick, the guy who was accused of sexually abusing many, many boys. So there you go, that's who was running the Vatican for years. A guy named God's Rottweiler who spent time in the Nazi Hitler youth camp that was taking hundreds of thousands of dollars from sexual abusers. Now, from the bottom of my heart, Mr. Joseph Ratzinger, God's Rottweiler, and I'm going to say this in your native language so you can understand it. Sprechen Sie Dick! Ha! Earth. You can't make this shit up, right? And that's why people come here, because you can read about this place, but it's not the same. So now to properly air out that stinky, dirty laundry, man, let's play some kick-ass tunes. We got some more music of the month for you. Let's hear some more from J.Ed. Here's what it sounds like off his album, The Deaf Ears Project. Check it out.
Gather the energy, absorb the negativity. It's about which wolf you feed, master the enemy. Man, fuck it, man, I still get tempted to quick come up, look good, but I'm afraid of the sentence. City full of fools who's headed there anyway. Too blind to see the signs and take the detour. Like, see, I'm in touch with the city, she keep me on speed dial. Knowing I be traveling in and out the town, just trying to move around, just trying to spread the sound, just trying to shine my crown, let these blessings keep falling down. Now walking with these clowns on constant on red alert.
Please check out more of J.Ed and his work at these links we provide all over the place. And I would like to personally thank J.Ed for allowing us to feature him for the music of the month of September. Keep going, man. You know what you're doing. Okay, now I have some good news and I have some bad news, since we're in this duality realm where it's one or the other because we don't like the middle. So good news and bad news. The bad news is that Bitchy Betty will not be around today or for the next few weeks. It's just temporary. She'll be back, just got some personal matters to take care of. But the good news is, on top of her coming back at some point, is that we have someone who does things a little differently. Friend and goddess Kiara Rose. So if you would, Kiara, please let us know what the weather's going to look like this week. Oh my. I think that's her way of saying it's going to be hot. Feel the heat, SummerSlam. And here's a fun fact about Kiara. She's not just a pretty face. Let's listen to some of her amazing wisdom.
The overpopulation that we have in this world, if women had control of their bodies again, complete control of their bodies, we wouldn't have an overpopulation problem. Yes. Because this is man-made.
It's like music to my ears. Isn't that beautiful? It's like poetry. And I couldn't agree more with her about this. I'm tired of seeing all this shit.
Oh, boom, 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 penis, 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 penis.
You mind if I call you Dick?
And now I think a good way to end her segment is with a shot of her contagious laughter. Go! See, how are you supposed to stop smiling when you got that stuff going on? If you like what you see, check out more of Kiara and Kiara Nation at the links we provide. And that, I think, says it all. This week, I wanted to do something a little bit different with our balls. And oh, which brings me to mention, I forgot to tell you, it's time for sports! If you haven't noticed, I really like researching, and in my research, I stumbled on a sports legend and story, and it was so good that I thought I'd make the whole sports segment about nothing but it tonight and share it with you. So everyone, please make some noise and get ready for the first and probably last Major League True Hollywood story. Our story begins in 1989 in Cleveland, Indiana, when the Indians weren't doing so hot, to say the least.
We lost our 2 best players to free agency. We haven't won a pennant in over 35 years. We haven't placed higher than 4th in the last 15.
The diehards feeling defeated, even were at a loss of where to turn.
I never heard of most of them. Who are these guys?
And in an act of desperation, the team even turned to voodoo, which of course you could imagine pissed off the Christians.
You trying to say Jesus Christ can't hit a curveball?
And religion did what it always does, successful again, divided and conquered, and ended up spreading more hate and discontent that was there to begin with. Religion wins again. But after a few hours, everybody simmered down, and they decided, we'll put aside this little petty theological debate, and we'll get to the real things that matter here, winning a pennant. So everyone put their differences aside and trudged on, even though some did still harbor some ill feelings.
Up your butt, Joe Boo.
When even voodoo couldn't turn things around, the Cleveland Indians did what anyone did back in 1989 before Craigslist. They put a most wanted ad in the newspaper. And that's when the star of our story makes his appearance. Enter Ricky Vaughn, California Penal League veteran and hopeful savior of the Cleveland Indians. He showed up to spring training showing lots of promise and certainly got everyone's attention. However, due to the Just Us system and there's real no desire to rehabilitate anyone, Ricky Vaughn did what any newly released inmate did, went out and made the most of his newly attained freedom while the rest of his teammates were out training hard trying to make Cleveland proud. Ricky's hardcore partying led to a downward spiral of many, many mornings like this, and he even fell as low as sleeping with the team owner who was public enemy #1 because of her own personal disdain for the team.
I didn't know who she was. I swear to God.
Yeah, sure you don't know who your boss is, Ricky. Or maybe you don't know how to put the bottle down, wild thing, which is the nickname he accrued from his teammates after they learned of his sexual episode of betrayal. See, they hate her. Enough was enough one day when Ricky just couldn't find the strike zone.
Just a bit outside. He tried the corner and missed. Ball 4. Ball 8. Low, and Vaughn has walked the bases loaded.
After 12 straight misses, too much Vagisil on the ball, and a big helping of public humiliation, this happened. Which then led to a heated debate with the umpire that Lil Jon himself couldn't keep out of.
You're gone! What? You're gone! What? You're gone! What? You heard me, you're gone! What? You're gone! What? You're gone! What? You heard me, you're gone! What? You heard me, you're gone! It's an accident! You threw him intentionally! Get out of here, rookie! Hey, what are you blowing me? Help me!
After the ejection, Ricky Vaughn storms off to the locker room and into the manager's office, where he throws a temper tantrum that would make any 2-year-old in Kanye West proud.
I'm gonna stick it up your ass!
No one, including the team manager, had the balls to tell Ricky that he had been fired, so they did what any cowardly lion would do, and they left him a colored John Deere note, which turned out to be completely counterproductive. When he received the note, he went ahead and threw a tantrum that was almost completely identical to the one he threw before.
I'm gonna stick it up your ass!
The story does, however, have a happy ending. The Cleveland Indians replaced Ricky Vaughn with aging pitcher Richard Harris, who doesn't have the young arm like Vaughn, but certainly knows how to get the job done.
You put snot on the ball?
I haven't got an arm like yours. I gotta put anything on it I can find.
Feeling overconfident that the ex-con all hopped up on Tiger's blood is now nothing but a regret, Jake Taylor, catcher and leader of the team, says there's only one thing left to do.
Win the whole thing.
And after that big burst of wisdom, the team puts the pedal to the metal and they win every single game. To take it all against the Yankees in the World Series Game 7 with the greatest moment in sports history behind this. And if this is your first time seeing it, everybody, it is amazing. So I gift, not give, I gift to you the greatest moment in sports history, the bunt heard around the world of 1989.
Taylor's punting again!
The bunt turned home run, clears the bases, and the Indians beat the Yankees 101-100. The crowd goes absolutely batshit wild, but what's this? Our sore loser and star of the story, Ricky Vaughn, decides now among all the chaos would be a good time to emerge from the shadows and sneak onto the field wearing a disguise, aka glasses. He nonchalantly strolls up to the celebrating team, thinking somehow he would take credit for the victory. The disguise, not a good one, doesn't fool shortstop Roger Dorn, who quickly finds the unwelcomed and uninvited Ricky Vaughn and reminds him why he is nicknamed the Dentist. Then one thing leads to another, and like any great story, it ends where it began, with Ricky Wild Thing Vaughn back in the California Penal League, kung fu gripping the soap with only shoulda, couldas, and wouldas to comfort him. Well, that nasty Nate.
I'm gonna want some cocktail. Fruit!
So that's it. That's the Major League true story of Ricky Wild Thing Vaughn. I hope you learned a few things, but if you didn't, this is the moral of the story. LT?
Don't smoke crack.
And now let's show you something you saw before it happened. Wow! In tonight's You Saw It First predictive programming segment, we're going to tackle the TV medium with a show called Twin Peaks back in 1990. And IMDb.com describes the show as an idiosyncratic FBI agent investigates the murder of a young woman in an even more idiosyncratic town of Twin Peaks. So take a look.
A particular part of the puzzle pertains to a precise planetary position. Jupiter and Saturn in conjunction.
Anybody find that interesting? We've been talking about this conjunction for a while. Looks like back in 1990 they were trying to warn you about it too.
When Jupiter and Saturn are conjunct, there are enormous shifts in power and fortune. Jupiter being expansive in its influence, Saturn contracted.
There was another one in 2000.
What this indicates to me is the potential for explosive change, good and bad.
How about that? A murder mystery show talking about a Saturn and Jupiter conjunction. How interesting. What the hell's that got to do with anything? If you're investigating a murder on Earth, why are you looking to the heavens to try to get any kind of answers? What a bunch of weirdos. Okay, now let's get to the creep of the week.
Hey, you guys want some cookies?
Ah, here we are. Another week, another big question mark. Who's it gonna be? Who gets the crown for creep of the week? Drum roll, please. Drum roll, please. 1, 2, 3, 4. Jeffrey Epstein, sex trafficker. Yes, that's correct. It's worth mentioning every week. I just feel like it. Have you seen all the people this guy's tied up with? And it's such a shame. Some of them, it's like, oh my gosh, why? But however, I would like to mention someone else this week as well, Jimmy Savile. And if you don't know about this ultra creep, he, just like Jeffrey Epstein, was protected and allowed to rape and abuse all sorts of young children, and even supposedly had sex with dead bodies. You want to know something else really weird? His best buddy was Prince Charles. Yeah, and Jimmy Savile even says the fact that he was knighted, he said that basically kept him out of jail. Isn't that great? So once again, you got Prince Andrew, who's best buddies with Jeffrey Epstein, and Prince Charles, best buddies with Jimmy Savile. Well, and on that weird and very strange note, it's time for the caption contest. Last week's winner comes to us from Matthew in Arkansas. Let's see what he had to say. Merc, just do it. Love it, Matthew. Thank you for playing. All right, everybody, here is this week's picture for this week's caption contest. And remember rule number 1, I'm number 1. Just kidding. Rule number 1, remember, have fun. And that'll do it for Love on Lockdown. Another week come and gone, so send your caption and love to me, Cupid, at loveonlockdown@yahoo.com. We'll see you guys next week, and we'll go ahead and sing you out with something. What are we going to decide to sing? Let's sing something. How about this? I can feel it coming back again, like a rolling thunder chasing the wind, forces pulling from the center of the earth again. I can feel it. I can feel it. Nobody cares about that. Bye. Woo.